outline of the class is project scheduling. So what do you mean by project scheduling? So software project contains number of subsystems. Each subsystem contains the different tasks. So after combining all the subsystems, it becomes a project. Now see what do you mean by scheduling. So when and how this task will be executed, means each task will be executed in the main project. So project scheduling is a process of deciding how the work in the project will be organized as a separate task and when and how this task will be executed. You estimate the calendar time needed to complete each task. So you have to decide the time to complete each task, the effort required, and who will work on the task that have been identified. You also have to estimate the resources needed to complete each task, each part of the work. So what are the resources? It may be disk space required on the server, the time required on the specified hardware such as simulator, and what the travel budget will be. So these are the resources. So project scheduling activities. What do you mean by activities? Task. So split the project into task and estimate the time and resources required to complete each task, each submodules. So split down the whole project contains the number of tasks. Split project into tasks and estimate the time and resources required to complete each task. Organize the task concurrently to make optimal use of the workflows. Minimize the task dependencies to avoid the delays. So caused by one task waiting for another complete. So the main purpose is minimize the task dependencies. So dependent on the project manager intuition and experience. So in the given diagram, it shows the project scheduling process. The software requirement and design information use the input to identify the activities, identify the activity dependencies, estimate the resources for this space, all these things, resources, allocate the people to activities for completing that work, and create project charts. Suppose you can create, it may be bar chart describing the project schedule. If it is not completed, then go to estimate the project resources for activities, allocate the people to activities, create project chart, and so on. This process is called project scheduling process. So scheduling problem, estimating the difficulty of the problems and hence the cost of developing solution is hard. So productivity is not proportional to the number of people working on the tasks. So it is not depend on the number of people working on the task. So productivity is not proportional to the number of people working on the task. So adding people to late project makes it later because of communication overhead. The unexpected always happens. Always allow contingency in the planning. So schedule representation. So how it represents the schedule? So graphical notations are normally used to illustrate the project schedule. It may be bar chart, pie chart, things. So graphical notations are used, and this shows the project breakdown into the task. Tasks should not be too small. They should take about week or two. So the task may be week or 2 week. So it may be based on the calendar based and activity network. So bar charts are the most commonly used representation of project schedules. This shows the schedule as activities or resources against the time. So activity network diagram, it shows the task dependencies from one task to another task. So it based on the two, one is a calendar based and activity network. So project activities. The project activities, it may also call the task, are the basic planning elements Each activity has a duration in the calendar, days or months. So each activity requires number of days or months to complete that task, or it may require effort estimates which shows the number of person or days or person months to complete the work, and deadline it also requires by which the activity should complete, and define endpoint which might be documents the holding of the review meeting, the successful execution of all the tests, etc. So each activity each activity has all these points. So milestone and deliverables. What do you mean by milestone? Milestones are the points in the schedule against which you can access the progress, of the work. For example, handover of this system for testing. So deliverable are work product that are delivered to the customer. So work product that are delivered to the customer. Example, requirement documents for system. So in the given diagram it shows task duration and dependencies. So here the task T1 task required the 15 persons, and for completion of this work it requires 10 days. Similarly, second task requires 8 persons, 15 days. Task 3 requires 20 persons and 15 days, and dependency is T1. So task 3 depends on task T1. So similarly, task 4, task 5, and so all this table it shows the task duration and dependencies of the task. So here the shown by the activity bar chart. Here the task 1 starts from 0 to 2, task 2 starts from 0 to 3 means 3 weeks, and T3 task depend on the T1. After completion of task 1, T3 task starts, that means in the second week, T3 2 to 5, and so on. This chart is called as a activity bar chart, and the staff allocation chart. So here the number of staffs are given: Jan, Ali and Geeta, Maya, and so on. Here the number of weeks is given. So staff allocation, Jani allocate the T1, T3, T9, T10 and T12. Ali staff requires T1 and T8, and so this chart is called as a staff allocation chart. So all these PPTs are taken from and summarily. Thank you.